Hey there, mindful travelers, and welcome to another episode of The Caring Traveler, a show where we shed light on the good in the world by sharing stories of people who do more than travel. These caring and selfless humans strive to change the world one nameless stranger at a time through conscious action wherever they happen to find themselves. Today is going to be all about education, which is a big part of what we do here at Novel Excursion. We believe education is a vital part to improving cross-cultural interaction, social norms, and reducing divisiveness. That is why I'm extremely happy to welcome Jasmine Lee today. Jasmine Lee hails from the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas. She is a business owner and a homeschooling mom. I'm happy to bring her on to give her valuable perspective on homeschooling and much, much more. As you can see behind me, if you look closely, I don't know which way to turn. You got the Texas Homeschool Expo, and that is where I met Jasmine Lee, her reaching out and offering us our exciting opportunity to be a keynote speaker at this event. So if you're in Texas and come out in around June, come out to the Dallas-Fort Worth area and come listen to yours truly and meet Jasmine and all the wonderful people that are going to be there. But I'm not going to give away too much. I'm going to open the floor to Jasmine. Hey, thanks for being here. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to come here and talk with you. As for myself, as you said, a business owner and mom to one lovely little boy who just turned 8 last week.
Ooh,
And so
congratulations.
like a lot of people, didn't know I was going to be a homeschooling mom. So I am a solo mom. My family, it's myself and my son. And I'm fortunate my parents are around to help out, but live in another city. And so, as a single parent, never occurred to me that homeschooling was an option. I always thought I'm going to have to go to work outside of my home and my son will go to school. And then COVID hit. My job allowed me to work from home. And so that actually allowed me to homeschool him for first grade. And we both loved the experience so much. But then that next year, I got called back into the office and I sent him to public school for second grade. And honestly, I missed that one-on-one time we had together. I missed being so involved in his education. And he missed that time together too. And he started asking me, hey, can we go back to homeschooling? And I had a lot of things to figure out to make that happen because there's nobody else bringing in the money in this household. So
Oh, yeah.
I started working on things and developing. I always had a vision that at one point in the future, I would retire from my job and start my own business. And I just said, you know what? I can't wait. So I started working on plans and said, let me start my business now. And so I did that and I created my own business, which is an event planning business. It's what I've been doing for 18 years and started that business. I left my job, my great job with great coworkers. Everyone was so supportive of me. And I did that 90% for homeschooling and 10% because it's what I always wanted to do anyways.
Oh,
And
wow.
so now I have my own business. I am also homeschooling my son. So he is with me all day, every day. And it is just the two of us on this journey. And it's awesome because there's so many things that I'm looking forward to doing now. I'm looking forward, I've been enjoying now. We're homeschooling third grade, we're halfway through the year. And doing all of these things inspires me to get out of the house and go do more. Back in 2020, I had just gotten my son's passport and we were just about to start traveling together. We had some cruises scheduled that year, none of which happened. um, we, we've had his passport now since 2020. When they're kids, they're only good for 5 years. And I'm like, we got to start traveling now because this passport's going to go unused. So that's something I'm looking forward to now as well. Now that I work from home and I can work from anywhere, we're actually planning to start getting back out there on the road and going and doing some things this upcoming year in 2023. So there's a lot of good things happening in our world. It's been a lot of change in 2022, but a lot of good change.
That's exciting. That is so much. That's very interesting. Before I dig into the homeschool component, I just want to ask, because I'm big into travel and you can see the world behind me. Where are you guys thinking of going?
Well, so we're starting kind of slow in that we're starting off with just a couple of cruises because it's an easy way to dip your toe into getting out there. But then I would like to actually go fly somewhere and actually dig a little deeper into an experience. Been looking at Costa Rica. We'll probably do some time in Mexico as well, although there's a couple of different cities I'm looking at. So I'm not sure exactly what region we're going to travel to. So I'm not sure where we'll go ultimately, but for this upcoming year, we're just doing a couple of cruises down to the Caribbean and to Mexico and just kind of dip our toes into getting back out there.
That's good. Yeah, that's a great way to do it. I know my wife was a single mom for a while, so she had to, she said it was a lot different, traveling just by herself with our daughter, before I came into the picture. Now, we have, two kids and we got dog and we got the whole, Brady bunch to worry about. But it's different. There's like positives and negatives, it's like that you got that kind of anxiety and nervousness of just going on by yourself, but you have a little more flexibility too, just the two of you. So that's actually really awesome. And I think that's going to be a really good bonding experience for you too. I'm always open to giving advice. I'd love to talk to you more. So offline, we have to reconnect and keep talking because we spent 2 months in Oaxaca and absolutely loved it. I would
That's
highly
one of the
recommend
places
going
I'm
there.
looking at,
Oh my
actually.
gosh, one of the best places in the world. I can't wait to go back. But yeah, there's so many wonderful places to go. So we will talk. But going into the homeschooling component, now that you're talking about traveling, have you heard about world schooling and have you considered it?
I have heard about it. I have considered it. It was a big jump to like quit my job and to go out on my own. And so jumping into world schooling is like not a big jump, but like this leap off a cliff.
Mhm.
At least the idea, the way I picture it, because I know there's so many ways to do it, right? I know some people that have a home base and they just travel a lot and they go places, but they have a home base back in the States where they go to and they stay, and they maybe just travel for a few weeks here and a few weeks there. And when I picture it, I picture this like all in because that's my personality. When I do something, I'm all in. I picture selling my house and my car and moving and just like traveling around. And we're gonna live for 2 months in Argentina and 2 months in Thailand. And that is intimidating. So I
Yeah.
probably scare myself because of the way I picture it.
Well, so we are actually in the process of planning that kind of trip right now. So we were living in Germany for a while. We were living there, home based in Germany, but we traveled all over Europe. Now we're home based in San Antonio, but we travel a lot.
Mhm.
But right now we're kind of in the air. My wife is applying to PhD programs. If she gets in or if she doesn't like what we do, we're debating. We might be just taking off next summer on our full whirlwind trip. But right now we've been planning it. We're planning like a 3 year vacation, or well, not vacation. It's not a vacation. 3 year traveling through Mexico, Central America, and South America. And
Mhm.
it is stressful to think about it, a little bit. But once you do it, I think once we were there in Mexico, I realized it's not that much different, especially working from home, working for yourself.
Mhm.
As long as the way you bring in that income to support yourself can go with you, you're golden. I mean, you really just get in your mindset that you are just living your life. You're not vacationing, you're not traveling, you're not whatever. You're just living from different locations. That's all it is. And that really helps change that perspective, I think. In terms of the world schooling dynamic itself, I agree. There's been so many different ways. If you look at it online, there's so many things about it. And there are those that, home base like we do, or go all in like you're mentioning, or like we might soon. But I think the biggest component about world schooling, which I love, is the experiential part of it. So some people say it's more close tied to unschooling as opposed to homeschooling, but I don't really like those divisions. I like just focusing on the experiential aspect, and that meaning that we take everything around us and use it for education, whatever that may be, wherever we are, whatever experiences. It can be cooking from your kitchen is a form of world schooling, in my opinion. And you can always tie it to different cultures, tie it to different people around the world to add to that breadth of learning and education. So I don't think it's something that you really need to worry about. I don't think it's, that big of a jump like you're mentioning. Now that you're a homeschooler, I think that transition will be pretty seamless, and it will really be more of the logistics that you got to worry about. Um, what about your son? I'm curious. So you mentioned that he went to public school and then he
Mhm.
wanted to come back. How's he doing in terms of the like socializing and friend component?
Yeah, so we're very atypical. Like, we're not what you think of when you picture homeschoolers because, again, single parent, only child. Homeschooling families are often large families.
Hmm.
A
Yeah.
lot of people we run across have 4 kids, 5 kids, 6 kids. And so people do wonder that, like, how is the socializing working? Is he just alone all the time? But I'm very intentional about that. So we're members of a couple of different groups. We're not in a co-op. Co-ops typically are educating and you go there for classes and they're there to teach your child. I do the teaching all myself. But we are involved in social groups that get together and it's the same consistent group of people, just like he would have his classmates and the same consistent group of kids. And we go and do a lot of different experiences together. I'm in this amazing group that meets up twice a week, and we've done parent-child dances. We do books where we all read the same book and we talk about it, and then we get together and go do experiences around that book. Like we read Charlotte's Web, then we all went to a farm together.
Oh, cool.
And we read Peter Pan, and then we went to iFly, and we went and flew like Peter Pan. So we have these great experiences together, and the kids get to really bond and connect. And it's not all organized. Sometimes we just go to a location and the kids just play and they get creative. And we'll go to a hiking trail and the kids find sticks and rocks and they find worms and they're looking at frogs and they're just out in nature together. And so I love that because there's this opportunity to be around kids, and the kids in our group range from 1 year old to 12-year olds, and they're all there together. And so they're learning from the older kids and they're taking care of the younger kids. And so it's just this great opportunity to be engaged and to create a family beyond our own family and to connect with people. So all the people who don't homeschool and who think, oh, homeschoolers, they must be these lonely little socially inept people who don't go anywhere and do anything. I laugh because I'm like, the thing my son got most in trouble for at school, and he didn't get in trouble much. He really had a good experience, but was socializing. It was the thing they least wanted him to do. It was stop talking to the person next to you, stay in your seat, focus on your
Yeah.
bookwork at lunchtime, don't talk, just put food in your mouth. You had 20 minutes of recess to socialize, and the rest of the day, they want you not to socialize. So I honestly think he has more opportunities to engage and communicate and teamwork and build connections through homeschooling than he ever did sitting in a classroom where 6 hours out of the day they want you to just be quiet and do your work.
Yeah, I never thought about that actually. Yeah, the socializing component is something that people always bring up, but I never thought about that, that how you have that limited time of playtime and then the rest you're supposed to be silent, listening and obedient. So I know my daughter had the same problem, the issues we had were her on the bus, getting out of her seat and, like talking too much. And it was just, yeah, it was that, and she was always more advanced in her grade too. So it was like she was sitting there bored and she wanted to talk, so,
Yes.
but
And that
yeah,
was my
I totally,
experience in school as a I mean, I went through public school all the way through. And I loved it. I'm not anti-public school, but it's not, there's benefits and there's downsides. And some of the downsides are what people think are benefits.
yeah.
I always got in trouble for talking too much in school and being too social. And it's just like you're saying with your daughter, I finished my work. What do you want me to do? I'm going to talk to the people around me. It's not my fault they didn't finish theirs.
See, I didn't have that problem. I was shy until like sixth grade. I didn't really open up out of my shell. I was just like, I sat in the back, I did my work, I was a really good student, I was teacher's pet, and I didn't talk.
See, I got good grades. They liked me. They just wanted me to talk less.
So going into the socializing a little more on the community aspect,
Mhm.
with world schooling, let me draw into that and then we'll go into the expo more. World schooling, have you heard of world schooling hubs or pop-ups?
Not really, no.
So that is another thing you'll need to consider as well. And everyone listening, I think if you're interested in traveling and homeschooling, that's a great way to find different communities all around the world. So when we were in Oaxaca, we hosted a world schooling pop-up where we had, I think it was about 4 families and maybe a total of about 10 kids that all came. We organized it. We planned out a week. And we spent 7 days together where we just went and did different things. You know, we went to some archaeological sites. We went and walked around the markets. One day it was raining, so we went and played at, you know, a jumpy playhouse in Oaxaca. You know, you're like, you wouldn't think that's what you would go do, but it was a wonderful experience. And it kind of sounds similar to what you're talking about with your social groups, that we really just, you know, got together. We, you know, made friends and we learned together. You know, it wasn't very, it was organized in the aspect that we had a general idea of what we are going to do each day, but this was because everyone was coming in for this event. But we were flexible in that, you know, if it rained or if someone didn't feel like going out there or we couldn't get a ride, we altered our plans and we were just there to be together. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for, you know, homeschooling kids and parents that are traveling to come together. And I think that's something that we're really passionate about building right now. We're trying to bring more of a community into Novel Excursion and find this as a hub for people to connect. But I think that's something similar to what you were doing with your events planning, and I want to talk about that. So the Texas Homeschool Expo, why don't you share a little bit more about what that is?
I'm so excited about this. So, you know, I'm super active in the homeschool community here in Dallas, Fort Worth. I'm in several different Facebook groups. I'm in several groups that meet up in person. And something I kept running across was people who were newer to homeschooling, or maybe they're not newer, but what they're using for curriculum isn't the best. It's not working for their kids. Maybe it was great for their first kid, but their second kid needs something new. And they were trying to figure out what else is out there. And, you know, because homeschooling is done in our homes, you can't just run to Walmart and buy homeschool curriculum or go to some neighborhood store and look through things. You know, there are very few opportunities to get hands-on and to really talk face-to-face with the people behind these different resources to find out if it's a good fit. So I would run across people who either just stick with one thing, even though it's not really the best for them because it's all they know, or they get online and they ask strangers, you know, well, what do you all think? And then whatever they hear the most, that's what they buy, knowing nothing about it. Or, you know, they just kind of give up and they put their kids in school because it's not what they wanted, but it's all they could think of to do. And I thought there's got to be a way to bring these resources together where people can go and have these face-to-face conversations, flip through a book and actually look at it and see how this curriculum is used, hear from some speakers who can talk to them about how to improve their homeschooling experience. And I said, I wish there was something like that out there. So I started looking, but what I found were only a couple of homeschool conventions in Texas. And the ones that exist are all based around religious homeschooling. And that has a place for a significant population of homeschoolers. But it was always focused specifically on Christian homeschoolers. So if you are a religious homeschooler but not Christian, or if religion doesn't play a role in your homeschooling, then none of those conferences had resources that were of interest to you. And that's leaving out a big chunk of people who homeschool. I mean, I have plenty of friends that are Christian, but don't homeschool with Christian-based material. So still, those homeschool conventions weren't working for them. And I thought someone needs to create something for everybody else. And then I decided that maybe that someone needed to be me. So that's how the Texas Homeschool Expo was born. It's going to be taking place this first time. It's a brand new event on June 9th and 10th in Grapevine. So that's central, right in between Dallas and Fort Worth, just north of DFW Airport. And the focus of it is to bring together curriculum that are neutral or secular. So basically, it's just curriculum that doesn't have a religious viewpoint. Anyone can use it, religious or not. The curriculum just doesn't have any religion incorporated into it. And to take these resources and to bring that together into one place where people could come and they can actually interact and talk with these companies, look through those materials and ask questions, and also bring together community organizations that have homeschool resources, whether it's a dance studio that offers daytime homeschool classes, or local co-ops and groups for people to find ways to socialize. There's groups for everything, and people don't realize that you can play homeschool sports, be in a homeschool orchestra, a homeschool choir. There are groups that organize proms for homeschool high school students. It's all out there, and bring all of those resources into one place and allow people to come in, whether they're current homeschoolers or they're just considering homeschooling, and get some more information, see what's out there, and hopefully take their homeschooling to the next level to benefit them and their children.
That's amazing. I don't know, I'm just at a loss for words. It sounds so exciting. So you're going to host it June 9th through the 10th. How much does it cost for people to come?
So online tickets won't go on sale till March, but it's $5 per adult. Kids under 18 are free. So it's very inexpensive. If you wait until the door, it's $10 at the door. But just get your ticket online. You can get it from your phone on walking up to the door. Really just would rather you get it online before you get there. So it's $5 per adult. And that includes your admission in, get you access to the full expo. So all of the companies that are participating, both national and local companies. My aim is to have between 60 and 70 in total. I'm working on that right now. The website is constantly being updated as more companies sign on. I already have several that have signed up to participate, and those are being added, like I said, weekly. But it also includes access to the education hall. And the education hall is where people can go and listen to different people come and speak and talk about different homeschool topics. That's where they can come and see you and your wife coming to talk about world schooling and what that has looked like for your family and what that could possibly look like for them. And some other topics that I'm going to have are how to incorporate STEM into homeschooling. A lot of people are very intimidated by science and technology, and they want their kids to be exposed to it, but it feels like a lot, especially science and experiments and all of the equipment that you need to get. And I have some sessions that are going to talk about easy ways to incorporate that, how to teach grammar and writing, how to homeschool high school, because that's intimidating for a lot of people. My kid wants to go on to college. How do I make sure they have the resources they need? I actually have some speakers coming from local community colleges to talk about how you can do dual credit enrollment and get your kids some college credits before they finish high school. And so, I have a speaker coming out to talk about homeschooling for children with special learning needs and children who may be impacted by various things, whether it's ADHD or autism or dyslexia or different things that are impacting how they learn, and how you can make your homeschooling program work for them. So there are topics ranging from all different sorts of families working while homeschooling children of color and how the impacts are for them. So there's so many different topics that are being covered, and it's just at $5 and you get access to all of that.
That is absolutely amazing. I love that idea. I'm so happy that you did that, especially from the secular component. I know that was a struggle that we had when we first started, embarking into the homeschool world, was there's so many that were predominantly religious based. And it was just very hard because we, as we are big travelers. We love to, what we do in our home is we allow our daughter and our kids, we celebrate every holiday. So like not celebrate all out, but we will mention it. We will talk about it. We will read a book. We will I think 2 years ago, I practiced Ramadan the entire way. I did fasting. I did all of it. And I'm not Islamic, but I wanted to learn about it. And my daughter would wake up before the sunrise with me, and we talked about it. And we learned about what it was and why people do it. And I think that's really important to have that breadth of experience. And we weren't finding that in any homeschool curriculums. It was very difficult. A lot of communities too were very, if you had to abide by certain belief systems, and it was like,
especially here in Texas.
Yeah, right? I was like,
there's a lot of that here in Texas.
Yeah, I did not want that for my daughter. I want her to be able to make that choice. I want her to be able to be, immersed in everything. So I love that you were, focusing on that aspect of the homeschooling world. Did you find it difficult to get this going? Like, I'm curious about the process and reaching out to, other organizations and stuff like that.
Well, so this is where my background comes into play with this, because I think if just just an average homeschooling parent said, hey, I want to make this happen, it would be intimidating. There's a lot of pieces to it, right? But my background is producing events for large numbers of people. I mean, I've produced outdoor festivals for up to 50,000 people. I've produced conferences for anywhere from 500 people up to 2,500 people. So I'm used to producing gatherings of large numbers of people, bringing in sponsors and vendors, and all of that is what I've been doing for the last 18 years professionally. So I took that background and I brought that into this approach. And so I did a lot of research before I really kicked this off, pulled together a list of companies that might be interested, companies that fit what I was looking for. So companies with neutral or secular curriculum that would be a fit for this, because there's already an audience for the religious companies. There are already conventions and places for them to go, and there aren't places for these other curriculums. And so put that list together. And then I'm just really passionate about this. So I try to personally reach out directly to each one of these companies and explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and why I know what I'm doing so they can feel comfortable getting involved. Because that, I think, is the biggest challenge. This is a brand new event. It doesn't have a history, so they can't see what the response has been or how it's been done. So they have to trust that I'm a professional and that I know what I'm doing in order to say, okay, I commit to flying my company out there and having an on-site presence. And so they need to trust in me and to trust in my background. And so that I think is the biggest hurdle. And I've had some companies that have jumped on board early, a couple that said, I love what you're doing and I want to be there from the jump and I want to be in right away. And I really appreciate those companies because it means a big deal, not just for me, but for all the people that I've shared this concept with that are excited. Every time I mention this to a homeschool group, they go, oh, that's awesome. I want to be involved. When is it going to be? I want to be there. Like, no one that I've said this to is like, nah, not that interested. So I think it's going to be hugely popular. And so getting these companies involved and in attendance has been the biggest challenge, but not a challenge once we speak. Once they hear what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, they go, okay, I understand. Let's get involved. And so since you and I first spoke, I've already added several more exhibitors that are coming out and some companies that are actually going beyond that and are sponsoring it and helping to make the event happen. And so, just visit the website and I'm constantly updating it, but we've got already grammar and language arts and science and history. And there's a range of curriculums that are already being represented at the expo.
That's awesome. I keep using that same word, but I mean, it really is. Yeah. Where else did I want to go with that? Because you just given me a whole bunch. Oh yeah. Are we going to see more of this? I know this is the first one, but are you hoping to expand?
Oh, absolutely. My intention is for this to be an annual thing, and actually to grow. Already, I've had so many great potential speakers that I've talked to that I just couldn't fit them all into these 2 days that I'm like, I need a bigger venue for 2024. Like that's already determined because I want to have multiple rooms and multiple sessions going on because there's so many great topics to cover. So I already been planning ahead to the next year and growing it and expanding it. And I've had some companies that have said, this is your first year. We want to see how it goes. And if all goes well, we'll come out and participate in 2024. So I already can see where it's going to grow with the number of companies as well, because some of them just want to see the first year and how it goes before they get on board. So my intention is for this to become an annual thing that people can plan for. Plan on making a trip up here to North Texas and get involved in this and attend it and be a part of this community. And if it goes well, after a couple of years, I would love to expand it to other parts of Texas and to maybe have one that's taking place in the San Antonio area and one that's taking place in the Houston area, and to be able to really grow this and have local resources around the state. But that's definitely looking a few years to the future. For sure, this one here in North Texas is going to become an annual event and it's going to continue to grow.
That's exciting. I'm so happy to have met you. I'm excited to have you on here, and I hope everyone listening is as excited about this event as I am and you are. I encourage all of you to head out to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, go out to Grapevine this summer. If you can't, like you heard, you know, it's going to be another event. It's going to be happening every year, but highly encourage you to go out this year. Go see it, you know, fresh and brand new, and you know, get that excitement about homeschooling because it is a wonderful experience. I think it's great for kids. I am very passionate about it. I love it. I think it's so good to see so many parents, you know, involved with their children, you know, and that's a
Yeah.
big thing about homeschooling is it requires you to be involved, whether no matter what form of alternative education you do,
Yeah.
you are just inherently there, you know? So, and I think it makes a big difference. And getting these people connected all in one place is a wonderful idea. And thank you so much for creating that.
Thank you. I want people to see that homeschooling doesn't mean you're alone. There's a whole community for you. Come and meet these other people, find a local organization, find the curriculum that's working for you. And, you know, like you said, let's start building these communities.
That's wonderful. So where can everyone find you?
So you can find information about this event as well as me at texashomeschoolexpo.com. That's our website. We're also on Facebook. So you can also, and it's just at Texas Homeschool Expo on Facebook. And also on our Facebook page, every week I try to post new articles about resources for homeschooling or news articles that talk about homeschooling in Texas and what's happening, things that the government might be doing that might impact homeschoolers or that are positive things. You know, just a few weeks ago, I posted about a program coming up in the spring that homeschoolers can sign up for that provides free resources. And so, you know, follow us on Facebook, get access to these resources, see who's signing up to participate, and join our community.
That's awesome. Great. Well, yes, I encourage all of you to go check it out at Texas Homeschool Expo. You can see it below Jasmine's photo there in her video, and it will be below us as well in the description. All the links are going to be there. If you like what you heard, I ask you to click subscribe. We have a lot of wonderful guests, a lot of great content of our travels and other people's travels. We really want to encourage you, you know, to travel with purpose and try and make a difference in the world, wherever that is that you may be. Thanks for joining us, and don't forget to travel mindfully.